Pete Cuccaro is going to make a brief announcement and welcome.
Thank you, Brenda. So good afternoon. For those of you who don't know, I am Pete Cuccaro. I just recently got elected to the board of the POA, and I'm the rookie, so here I am. We know how that works. I'm representing Maggie Case, who was going to be here today, but we just found out about an hour ago that Maggie is not feeling well. She just came back from a cruise, and we know how that works. She was filling in for Sue Wasserman, who already had a commitment, a longstanding commitment. She was out of town. And so you're stuck with me. So it's my privilege and honor to welcome our candidates, all of the Pine Ridge residents and members who are here today. Pine Ridge is a unique equestrian community with over 11,000 residents, 4,900 properties, and 141 miles of road. We are the largest populated subdivision with $1.2 billion in combined assets and pay nearly $56 million in ad valorem taxes. We all know our state, county, and community are growing all around us. And as you'll gather from the questions you'll hear, there is a great deal of concern. Candidates, we appreciate you taking the time to participate in this forum. And the reason I'm not introducing them is I know that they have.
Thank you, Joey. As I was announced, my name is Brenda Roberts. I'm going to be the moderator of the sessions today, this afternoon and tonight. And basically, I have the final say on all the rules going on. I got a few housekeeping deals. Please, everyone, turn their cell phones off or silent them. Take conversations outside if you need to converse with someone. There are no questions or comments allowed from the floor. That's the audience. Emergency exits are on the left, that the ones you came in. Also on the right side of this room, there is emergency exit. You cross through those doors and it'll go right outside in case we have to emergency exit for some reason. Restrooms are in the hallway on the left, and there's also a drinking fountain back there in the hallway. Be advised, both sessions are being recorded and will be available on the Pine Ridge website within 24 hours. This is for the audience. Please be respectful and hold any applause until the end of the session due to the time restraints for our candidates' statements. Candidates, please respect each other and the listed time limits for candidates. There will be a visual 30-second sign warning for when you are answering a question or making your statements, and then a 10-second warning. And after the 10 seconds, time will be up for you guys. Format rules. There'll be opening statements by the candidates. They have 3 minutes to make an opening statement. There'll be rotating order based on a random drawing that was at the beginning of the session. Questions are being done by the panel, as announced, Bill and Mark only. Pre-submitted questions are from Pine Ridge residents. Questions will be displayed on the TVs via the PowerPoint by Keith. Responses from the candidates are in the same rotating order for each question, and they have 2 minutes each. If a candidate mentions another candidate in a response to a question, that mentioned candidate can request a rebuttal for 30 seconds from the moderator. Closing statements for the state reps here will be 3 minutes in the original order of the drawing. And thank you. The session will begin with the first question. Judith will respond once the question is read.
I thought it was a statement.
Excuse me?
I thought it was a statement.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Judith Vowles will make her opening statement.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here today. course, my name is Judith Vowles, and I'm running for State Representative, District 23. I would like to introduce myself by telling you I lived in Citrus County for over 17 years. Before I get too much into my background, let me tell you what my platform is. My platform is to fight for affordable homeowner insurance, affordable housing, a livable wage, healthcare and healthcare expansion coverage for children and elderly, and ensure that we have clean water here in Citrus County. So now a little bit about my background. I have a bachelor's degree from Miami Christian College. I have a master's degree from St. Thomas University, also in Miami. I've been in the reserve for 14 years. In 1989, I was in Panama when they removed Noriega from power. In 1991, I was still in the reserve when Desert Storm took place. I was not activated, our unit was not, so my orders was rescinded. Since that time, I worked for the Department of Correction and Probation and Parole. I was a senior supervisor here in Citrus County until I retired after 30 years for working for the state of Florida. During that time, of course, I worked closely with the court system, Judge Howard, the Public Defender Office, the State Attorney Office, and we deal with offenders that were sentenced to probation and deal with offenders that was released from prison. At this time, like I stated, that I am running on the platform for fighting for affordable homeowner insurance. And I did mention this in previous time that my Save Florida program that deals with inspection, repairs on roofing, doors, and windows. And in turn, you can have your premium probably reduced by about $1,000. That program was instituted in the last legislative session, and I want to keep it permanent to help homeowners keep the insurance affordable. As far as affordable housing is concerned, I know that the county has a situation or concern about building and growth here in Citrus County, but affordable housing doesn't have to look the way you think it should look. And since I had the opportunity to listen to the last town hall meeting last week, and it was talking about affordable housing, and we're talking about duplexes instead of these big sites. Anyway, at this point, I just want you to remember affordable housing, affordable homeowner insurance, livable wage, clean water. I'm fighting for those issues here for Citrus County resident. Thank you.
Thank you, Judith. Like I said, please hold applause till the end of the session. Thank you. Anytime you're ready, JJ.
Great. Good afternoon. My name is JJ Grow. I'm a conservative Republican businessman and a candidate for House District 23. For those of you who don't know me, I grew up here in Citrus County. My wife and I, Jen, who's here in the audience today, raised our 4 daughters here. After graduating from Citrus High School, I served a year with the state, Florida Future Farmers of America, and also did an internship with the Florida Department of Agriculture. After that year, I headed up to Gainesville. I'll let you guess where. I graduated in 1992 with a degree in agricultural economics from the University of Florida. After that, I went to work. I've spent the last 32 years working in agribusiness. The first 11 as an employee, and then the last 21 as an employer. So I understand what it means to write a check. The time spent was global. I worked in about 60 different countries around the world, so I got a lot of experience. Started in sales, did marketing, did leadership. And then when my wife and I started our own company, we started as founders, CEO, and then chairman later on. So I understand business. I also had a lot of opportunities to be involved in leadership. I spent several years working, and I still do today, on business boards, but I also work on a lot of nonprofit boards. I currently serve and have the last 6 years on the University of Florida Foundation Board, where I'm on the audit committee. I also serve on President Ben Sass's committee as an advisor for artificial intelligence. I'm the vice chairman of the National Wild Turkey Federation, which is one of the largest conservation groups in the United States. I also have served on several local boards, including the Community Food Bank and Blessings in a Backpack. And my wife currently serves on the board for Jesse's Place and the Citrus County Education Foundation. So we're very involved in our community. And that really is what led me to run. I've always had a calling to public service, but I wasn't sure what I would do to serve. And after talking with several of my friends who are in the legislature, I believe that my business experience and my leadership experience will do well for our district and for our community. I've got a lot of things that I would like to talk to you about. What I would suggest is if you go to my website at votejjgrow.com, you'll see a lot of the things that I'm happy and proud that I'm going to be able to advocate on behalf of. The three things right now that I can't wait to get to Tallahassee to work on are affordable housing, the insurance crisis, as well as prioritizing infrastructure, which is really, really important. So what I would like for you to do is punch my ticket, put me to work, and let's grow, get it done.
Thank you, JJ. Now we can begin the questioning.
Good afternoon. I'm Mark Dupuy. My wife Karen and I moved to Pine Ridge 10 years ago. And today happens to be our 52nd anniversary. So I want to get that 30-second, 10-second sign, bring it home. Going to use it. Question number one, the water level in our aquifer is in decline and local springs are shrinking from outflows. Simultaneously, we're experiencing rapid growth and development continuing into the future. This translates into tens of thousands of people, houses, apartments, businesses, infrastructure, and public services. The rapid growth and development will demand even more water, putting our water supply at risk. As state representative, how will you work to ensure our groundwater and springs meet our water needs while maintaining healthy natural systems essential to the quality of life?
You want me to go first? Who's first?
Sorry about that technical problem.
Judith, you can answer first.
One of the things that this county has instituted in reference to dealing with water is that, and most county does, is water restriction. Meaning that, you know, they have certain times of day or days of the week that you can water your lawn. So it's going to involve doing some kind of policy like that to help reduce using too much water or abusing the water that we already do have. So it's going to involve the local officials implementing some plan to have it to be used in the county. Like I just stated, water restriction is just one of the way that we can deal with it. As far as building and having the growth that we have, United States have always been in transit. We always have people going and coming. And how do you stabilize that growth? You know, it's nothing that we can't tell people they can't come to Florida, we can't come to Citrus County. So the only thing that we have control of is using water restriction. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, JJ.
I'm going to tell you something that's going to blow your mind. But in the state of Florida, we use 7 billion gallons of water a day. It's crazy, right? So this is a huge issue. And that's one of the reasons why we have places like SwiftMud, Southwest Florida Water Management District. There's 7 water management districts across the state of Florida. Every year, they have to come up with a plan on how we manage our water. In a lot of cases, surface water and groundwater being the aquifer, surface water being our rivers, lakes, and streams, that in the past has always been enough to provide enough drinking water for the population in the state of Florida. The problem with the population in the state of Florida is it keeps growing, as we've all talked about. So the plan in the legislative session for 2025 is to really talk a lot about alternatives to surface water and aquifer water. We do a lot to keep our springs clear because the springs are really the gateway to our aquifer. So we need to make sure that those springs continue flowing, which is why we have the programs we do in Homosassa, Crystal River, and in other locations throughout the state of Florida. But we have to look further. What else are we going to do for water? There's a huge plant in Tampa that is a desalinization plant. They basically take seawater, they take the salt out of it and create fresh drinking water. We have to continue to look at things like that, as well as figuring out how to build reservoirs. I'm sure everyone's traveled to states where they see reservoirs that help capture water. Water is a huge deal, right? We need water for agriculture in the state of Florida because without agriculture, we have no food, which means we all die. That would suck. So we have to continue looking at ways to clean the water as well. And another thing that we're doing here in our county, which has been funded federally and by the state, is going from septic to sewer, which is a big issue because we can use reclaimed water as well as storm water and reclaim it and use it for drinking water. So those are some of the ideas I plan on working on in the Florida House.
Thank you, JJ. We can move on to question 2 to be read.
Question number 2, I'm Bill Miller. There are over 385,000 horses in Florida, making it the 3rd largest equine state in the country. Because of continuing growth in Florida, there has been a significant increase in horse and car-related incidents. The Florida Bar has noted that the Florida Statute 1316.0825, intended to protect equestrians, contains ambiguous language. We need stronger direct language advising drivers how they should operate their vehicles when encountering equestrians on the roadway. The question: as our District 23 representative, how will you work with Pine Ridge residents to sponsor a bill that creates definitive language magnifying roadway safety for our equestrians?
Well, we do have Florida statute, and I printed it, 316.0825, that deal with vehicle approaching animals. And of course, they include horses. So the vehicle is responsible for slowing down and not do anything that will cause the horses to be alarmed. So the statute is there to protect the person that's riding the horses on the road. What we can do is to enhance that is a fine if they do anything to disrupt the horses while they're on the highway. We can enhance the sentence besides the violation is to give them a fine. Right now, the way the fine is infraction is written is like a traffic infraction. And that cost is $164. Maybe it needs to be increased because someone's life could be at risk if the horse actually throw that person into the roadway. So what I'll be looking at is to look at this statute, this particular statute, and actually put in horses instead of just animal to give you that enhanced protection that you're looking for. Thank you. Go ahead.
This is one I know a lot about since my family has a horse farm. Horses are beautiful, wild animals. And right about the time you think you have them tame, something happens, a noise, a firework, a gunshot, something happens that spooks them. So I totally understand the vulnerability of horses and how they interact. And my wife and I spend a lot of time in a park over in Ocala where there's actually horses, people riding bicycles and walking at the same time. And the way it works over there is the horse has the right of way. And you're supposed to stop what you're doing, let the horse move on and clear before you start your activity again. I think that's important. I have looked at the statute. I would love to have the opportunity to sit down with the folks in Pine Ridge to totally understand what we can do to make the statute stronger. But I definitely understand we need to protect not just the horses, but the people who are interacting with the horses and the person who's up on the horse, which ultimately is the one who's really going to get hurt. So I would welcome the opportunity to sit down and have the discussion, horseman to horseman or horsewoman. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to question 3, JJ will start the answer.
Question 3, homeowner insurance continues to be on the rise. Some policies for owners who have never had a claim have increased 50, 70, and in some cases, 100%. According to the Insurance Information Institute, Florida homeowners insurance has more than doubled over the last 3 years. The average Florida policy cost is 55% above the national average. In addition, many homeowners are being dropped by their insurers. Arbitrary so-called reduction methods have rated roofs simply by age. If more than 15 years old, premiums are higher or they can drop coverage. Question is, if elected, how will you represent citrus citizens with the ongoing problem of Florida homeowners insurance? What is your plan based on preparing for the office of state representative?
Thank you for the question. this is a hard one, right? And I guess I'm going to start by explaining the insurance market in Florida as a really bad neighborhood that insurance companies don't want to live in. And the reason has been a lot of the frivolous lawsuits that have taken place. And we have hurricanes, right? So between those two things, it's made it tough for insurance companies to operate in the state of Florida. The legislature has done a lot of good work. They've put measures in place to stop some of the frivolous lawsuits. And I want you to understand, if you look at all the lawsuits that deal with property insurance in the entire United States, 76% of those cases are here in Florida. But Florida only represents 7% of the claims that are being made. So they've done a lot to fix that. The other thing that's been done is they put $433 million this past session into My Safe Florida Home. That allows folks to harden their homes to make sure that, you know, the hurricanes aren't going to knock them down when the hurricanes come. The other thing that's been done is they've eliminated the sales tax on property insurance, which it's small, but every little bit helps. I think we all understand that. When it comes to the roof, that's one that I definitely want to fight. I've got a concrete roof on my house that I was told when I put it on had a 75-year life expectancy, and now I'm told it doesn't. And then I have a metal roof on my house in Homosassa, and I'm told that now has a life expectancy. The one good thing that they did pass is they can't just cancel your insurance because of the age of your roof if you have it inspected and the inspector says that the roof is fine. So there's a lot of work left to be done, and this is one that affects all of us. So I'm excited to jump in and try to figure it out along with a lot of the great work that's already currently being done in the legislature. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Judith.
In reference to what was stated in reference to the previous lawsuit, with 70% of lawsuit in Florida it's in reference to homeowner insurance. What the problem with that was is that the insurance company was not responding to homeowners' claim in a timely manner. And that's why a lot of these lawsuits were being filed. So it was not just that the homeowner were just filing lawsuit against the insurance company. They had reason to do so. If you file a claim, you shouldn't have to be waiting 60 or 90 or maybe 6 months, you know, for the insurance claim to be paid out. So the insurance company have a responsibility to you as a homeowner to pay out the claim in a timely manner. So this is what that is stemming from as far as the lawsuit here in the state of Florida. And of course, we can't avoid any hurricanes and sinkhole and the other issues that happen to the people that lives in Florida. But also we got to take the accountability that certain homes are built in certain places that is more prone to problems. If you live in a coastal place that you know that's going to be damaged by a hurricane, you know, the insurance, of course, is trying to, you know, reduce their risk as well. But what we can do as a state legislature is try to find some way to ask the insurance company or invite the insurance company back to the state of Florida to have left and let them know that to lower the risk somewhere, somehow for the homeowners here in the state of Florida.
Thank you. Moving on to question number 4. Judith will answer first on this one.
According to the Florida Department of Transportation, the increased use of electric vehicles will reduce Florida's motor-based fuel revenue stream by 5.6 to 20% by 2040. While all counties need gas revenue to service their roadways, Citrus residents already know how behind we are compared to other counties. Most of our roads are hodgepodge of filled-in holes and ruts, and this is only counting towards those already paved. We need a collaborative relationship between the county and the state. And the question, if you are elected, how will you begin to resolve the current plight of Citrus roads? Specifically, how will you usher revenue towards the county to pave and resurface our roads? Said another way, how do we put intense Tallahassee spotlight on this Citrus issue?
First, you started your first part of explanation of the sentence was dealing with the electric cars. And if we have these electric stations, well, we don't have a whole lot in Citrus County, but if we do, we have to find some way to apply some kind of taxes to that use of the electric facility. And because if we're reducing the gasoline consumption, then we have to have it replaced with something else. So we have to address that. So we have to figure out how we're going to apply that tax and how we're going to use that to fund our roads. Citrus County does have a lot of issues with roads, and everyone wants their road paved. And I'm, for one, live on a road that's not paved, so of course I will be up there saying, you need to pave my road. But anyway, with the funding that we do have, we just need to be more fiscal responsible in which road, which highway, which is benefit most people, the majority of the people of Citrus County. Because when we started segmenting the population, it's like we gave favoritism to one community and not. They pay taxes just as well. So we need to have a broad approach in when we apply road structure, the infrastructure for Citrus County. How many people is going to benefit from this? Let us be the Citrus County resident and not just a small community in Citrus County.
Thank you. Go ahead, JD.
Okay. First of all, I would argue we actually have some really good roads in Citrus County. They're not all good. There are roads that need to be repaved, and we understand that. I've had meetings with the DOT in Tallahassee. I've had the opportunity to speak with them on several occasions when I go up as a member of the chamber. And I will tell you, there are county roads and there are state roads. State roads are redone by the Florida Department of Transportation. The county roads are redone by the county. So the county has to raise the funds in order to do those roads. There are programs in Tallahassee where you can go and you can ask for help getting some of those county roads repaved. But my understanding is you don't go up there and ask for $40 million to repave a road. If the roads are going to cost you $40 million to repave, you go up there and say, we have 20 million of it. Can you do the other 20 million? And from the cases that I've looked at, the answer has been yes. So we have to make sure that we're collecting the taxes that we need to collect to make sure we can repave our road. When I say taxes, a lot of that's gas tax. A gas tax is used for road construction here in the county. I know a lot of people are questioning all the EVs out there, and we're going to be forced as a state to try to fix that. Florida is the second highest state in the country for electric vehicles, and those folks aren't buying gasoline, therefore they're not paying a tax. So that money's not going in to fix the roads. I know the legislation in 2025 is going to come about where it looks like they'll probably put a tax on EVs, because on average, for those of us who drive gas vehicles, we pay $283 a year in a gas tax. So we're going to have to figure out a way to recoup that. But just paving all the roads isn't the state's responsibility. I got that hard answer real quick when I went up there. They'll help, but we're going to have to throw into the pot as well.
Thank you. Moving on to question 5, JJ will answer first.
Question 5, according to Data USA, the median age of Pine Ridge residents is 65 years old. We know anecdotally this number is moving downward based on the number of younger folks buying and selling and settling. Still, it is the age population now in their sunset years that have been moving to Pine Ridge from around the country. For decades, they've been carrying the taxpayer load. Many Pine Ridge seniors are at the end of their financial plans established decades ago. Question, as our state representative, how will you actively energize medical infrastructure investments and incentives to ensure the aging population of Pine Ridge has the health care they need going forward?
So for those of you who kept up with the last session, the Senate put forward some legislation called Live Healthy. So really what that's all about is making sure that we have enough individuals, and I think everyone in this room's heard we don't have enough doctors in our hospitals. We've all been waiting to go to the doctor for 2 or 3 weeks at a time. You almost get forced to go to the emergency room. And the reason is we have a shortage of healthcare professionals. So the state is putting together several different bills that are in that Live Healthy Act. Part of that is to get more folks doctors, nurses, who can take care of us. The other part of that is innovation. As you talked about, the aging population and even issues that go on with the younger population, whether it's cancer or even mental health issues. We need to be innovative and bring in private business to try to help solve some of those problems. Hopefully everyone here agrees government can't solve all the problems. We need business people and people who are entrepreneurs to help solve some of those problems. The other thing that the Live Healthy Act does is it allows doctors to transfer into the state of Florida, and there's a short period of time that they have to wait before they can start practicing here in the state. So those are a lot of the things that we need to do. We're fortunate that Tampa General Hospital has come into our community. HCA is here in our community. We're starting to see more movement. There's some rumors out there about an additional hospital potentially coming to our community. So I believe we're going to have what we need to take care of the folks that live in this community, no matter what their age is. And I can promise you, my mom's 75 and she hates going to the doctor. But mainly she hates when she can't get in to see the doctor. So we need to make sure we're continuing to do things to keep our population healthy. And mental health, again, is a big part of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Judith?
In reference to providing the service, I mentioned in my platform about livable wages, and we have nurses and probably doctors and other healthcare professionals that works here in Citrus County. One of the things that they can't find affordable housing, so they drive back and forth to Ocala or to Brooksville or wherever they could find affordable housing, and that creates a shortage of our healthcare professionals here in Citrus County. So one way we can look at this too is to make sure that we're giving these healthcare professionals a livable wage, that they can afford to stay here in Citrus County. Because we can't invite others to come to this county and they don't have the income to maintain themselves when they're here. So if we're asking for a healthcare profession to come and take care of the elderly, our families, our children, we need to pay them well. We need to pay them a livable wage. As far as mental health is concerned, I know we don't even have a facility here, and that's my background is in mental health, is that we do need to have a facilities to deal with this. We need to have more psychiatrists or psychologists to deal with people that have mental health issues. As far as the psychiatrists, is that those the one that could prescribe medication for the people that needs it. We need to have those people here as well. Again, livable wage. This is the way we're going to solve that problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to question 6, Judith will answer first.
Citrus County has long marketed itself as the Nature Coast. The natural resources within our county have been unique and abundant, i.e. we are the manatee capital of the world. We are a pivotal point where we need to manage the expected influx of people during the next 10 years while not damaging the foundation of our natural habitat. We are nature lovers, outdoor adventurers, equestrians, golfers, and hobbyists of every kind. The question: as our state representative, what conservation efforts will you champion inside population areas to ensure the rush to integrate the influx of new residents doesn't damage or destroy what we already enjoy? Thank you.
I know Crystal River is one of the, a big part of tourism that people come to swim with the manatees. They take the boat rides. We want to keep that, our water clean. We want to have them to be, available to when tourists come here. We don't want to have overbuilding in that area. Meaning that if we're going to build and have the population, we're going to have to avoid the areas that we want to preserve. Meaning, I'm just talking about Crystal River with the rivers and the water and all those beautiful things that we have over there. So when we ain't going to increase the population, we're going to look elsewhere for building away from the preserved area, the areas that we want to keep, for our tourism, for hiking, and for all these other things that people want to do. So Citrus County have a lot of land, and we can build other places. We just need to depend on our building people, the building zoning commissioners, to let us know where in the county is the best possible place to have buildings for the community, the developments, or whoever want to build away from the preserves that we want to keep natural here in Citrus County. So I don't have any pinpoint in the air, but I know that it's some things that we do want to preserve. So we depend on our county commissioners to lead the way.
Thank you. Go ahead, JJ.
As I mentioned earlier, I serve as the vice chairman of the National Wild Turkey Federation Foundation. We manage about 8 million conservation acres across the United States. So conservation is something that's near and dear to my heart. One thing I think we all agree, we can't stop people from moving here. So we have to be really smart about our infrastructure and how we protect our lakes, our rivers, our forests. A lot of times the forests get overlooked, but if you think about Withlacoochee Forest, it's kind of beautiful to see all the trees and the wildlife that exists there. So between that and protecting our springs and our coastal areas, you know, those are things that growing up here, I really cherished. And it's one of the reasons why, you know, we've raised our family here because of all those beautiful things. So we 100% have to protect them. Ralph Mazzullo, Wilton Simpson, before them, Charlie Dean, they've all worked hard to protect Crystal River. They've worked hard to protect now the Homosassa River and the restoration that happens there. We're also cleaning up our lakes over in Inverness area to make sure that we have a better bass population. All of that stuff drives tourism, which drives money that comes into our county that makes it a little more affordable for us to live here. So we have to protect those. But the other thing it does, all of those are kind of intertwined. We talked earlier about water, having our springs clean, getting rid of excess nutrients in our waterways, making sure we're getting off of septic tanks and we're moving to sewer. All of those things are the things that help us protect our community. But again, they also allow us to have fresh water. They allow us to be able to go out and enjoy all those things that are here. And again, growing up here, I cherish those things and I'll make sure that we continue to support them and protect them in Tallahassee.
Thank you. Going to move on to question number 7. We'll start, JJ will start the answering.
FDOT advises roundabouts are increasingly popular due to the benefits provided. Benefits include dramatic reductions in serious injury and fatality crashes, as well as reductions in delay for road users. The Federal Highway Administration designated roundabouts as one of 9 proven safety countermeasures according to both urban and rural areas. Pine Ridge is expecting a surge in traffic on its main boulevards once the interchange opens. You already know our concern regarding the equestrian safety. The question is, when elected, how will you lead discussions with the Florida Department of Transportation for the creation of roundabouts at intersections to be determined? We are here to help.
Thank you. And what I'll say is it also depends, again, is it a county road or a state road? I'm not going to pretend to be an expert in roundabouts. I've lived in some states that have them. I get pretty confused when I approach them. I can't imagine how we deal with a horse in a roundabout. But my thing on some of these issues, it's not like I'm sitting up here telling you I have all the answers. What I'm sitting up here telling you is I will advocate on behalf of this group as well as the other citizens in my district to make sure if stuff doesn't make sense, we don't do it. And that's the one thing that I'm promising is a common sense approach. You know, we've got a Republican House and a Republican Senate. They've done a lot of great work in the state, and our county commissioners are doing a lot of good work working with them to do great things here in our county. The one thing I'll say is I'm not going to do anything without coming out and talking to the people that it affects. And that's one of my promises to you. I'm not going to go to Tallahassee and make stuff up and vote on it without actually getting on the phone, coming down here and visiting with you, sitting with the POA and understanding the concerns about what's going on in Tallahassee and what's being proposed. So I can't give you an answer on roundabouts, only to tell you I would never vote on any of that without coming back and having the conversation with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Can I say Dado? Okay. I say that, that was a very good answer because, being a legislature or if I'm elected there, you're a jack of all trade, a master of nothing really, because you have to be so versed in so many things and so many issues. And the only way that you can be effective is do just what was said. You have to come back to the people and ask them, what do you want me to do? Because you might not have all the answers. You might not even be familiar with the situation. So I too will vow that I will come back and say, what do you want? What is this about? How is it affecting you? What is it going to cause any risk to you? Is it a health issue? Is it going to be some issue to your family, your property? What is going on? And you, as the residents of this county, is to educate us and inform us and let us know what you need done. And I do make that commitment to come back to you and ask you about it because I'm not even familiar what a roundabout is. But whatever it is, apparently y'all don't want it. So I guess we will be hearing from either one of us back in the future in reference to that. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to move on to question number 8, and Judith will be first to answer this one.
Traffic safety in Pine Ridge and throughout Citrus County is in the forefront of people's minds. In recent years, many communities have opted for red light camera enforcement. Just this month, a community opted for stop sign traffic enforcement. What's your opinion of the disadvantages and advantages of this technology? And what's your position in regarding the evolution of this enforcement?
First of all, traffic lights and signs, I believe that falls under your county as far as where to post them, where to put them. And if the county is supporting you having these lights or stop sign or whatever traffic signs that you need in your neighborhood, of course I'm going to support that. Because if this is something that you're asking your county to do, and as a legislature, if it comes up to the level that the state has to be involved, again, we come back to the community and ask them what it is that you want done. If these traffic sign and the new technology that you want implemented in your neighborhood, they have a cost that's going to involve the state getting involved, that you need money to help finance it because the county is asking for more money, then again, we're going to come back and ask you. If this is what you want, we will support it and we will try to get it for you. This is what our job is supposed to be in the state legislature, representing you, getting you what you want, getting what you need, and what makes sense for your community. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, JJ.
Obviously, there's been a lot of controversy on the red light cameras. My dad was working at the Citrus County Sheriff's Department when I was a little boy, and my son-in-law works there now. And the thing that keeps people from running red lights is when the car behind them pulls them over with bright lights on and writes them a ticket. That's what stops it. There's a lot of proof out there, and you could prove me wrong and come up with some other information, but I don't believe red light cameras are how we need to police our community. I think we do it with law enforcement officers and we enforce the laws. I would look to that before I would worry about spending some money with a company that actually makes money every time that little thing goes off and takes a picture of you. I would be more interested in, again, law enforcement pulling people over and writing tickets and enforcing it that way. I think that's a lesson well learned versus getting a picture in the mail of you running a light. Thank you.
Thank you. Going to move on to question number 9. JJ will answer first.
Okay, this is the last question. Knowing candidate forums are tantamount to job interviews, with the public serving up the questions, sometimes the most important questions go unasked. What question would you like asked that will demonstrate how you saw a public issue which generated your action and response? What was the issue and how did you manage it?
Had to go to law school to answer that question. So, as far as what question, I think the big question, and I don't know if it's a public issue, but I think we need to sit back and think about the people that we put into office and why they're going into office. And this isn't about anyone that's here today in this forum, but I think when you sit back and you start thinking about who you put in office, figure out why they're going there. And if they're going there to put themselves above the public, then don't vote for them. And again, I'm not talking about Judith. I'm not talking about anyone in this room. What I'm talking about is making sure that the people that we put in office pick the public above themselves. So I would ask the question of people who are running for office, why are you running for office? And if you get into office, what are you hoping to do for your community? And obviously making sure that they're putting the community ahead of themselves. The issue and how to manage it, I think that's going to depend on everyone in this room. The fact that everyone's here today and playing a part in this process, hopefully you're out talking to your neighbors about the issues that are going on in our county and making sure that you're communicating not only with your state representatives, but with your county commissioners and everyone else who's elected into office here. So I think that would be the one big question I would ask is what motivates people to run for public office? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
One of the issues that I did have when I was working for the Florida Department of Corrections and Probation parole supervisor is sex offenders. I know people don't understand how we supervised those cases in the past. We did have situation that, of course, no one wants them in the county. The sheriff office did not want them here in the county, but we had to explain to them that when the offense is committed here in Citrus County and the person live in Citrus County, they're coming back home. And there are some rules that they have to follow with the 1,000-foot rule that we noticed and we hear a lot about, but people just didn't understand why they have sex offenders in their community. If they own that home, we can't kick them out because they're a sex offender. They already completed their sentence and this is where they're going to live. Now, that issue is something that we fought a lot with the legislature in reference to how do we handle that situation, and to no avail, it's still there, still a problem. But if I do have the opportunity to deal with that issue, I will come back to you and ask you this question. If you have a sex offender that reside in your community, what do you want the legislature to do? And what kind of law do you want the legislature to pass to deal with that situation? Nobody wants sex offenders in their neighborhood, but like I stated, if they own their home and they live here, you just can't just kick them out. So that's the way, and the only issue that I had and had to deal with the legislature and work with it and deal with the sheriff at the same time. And I did have the privilege to work with the sheriff, Darcy and Pendergrass, and both of them do not like that issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, JJ. You ready? Yes, we're a little bit ahead of schedule, so your closing statements, we're going to start with Judith, will be 5 minutes if you need that long. You'll each have 5 minutes.
Okay, I have 5 minutes to talk to you about my life. Like I stated, I lived in Citrus County for over 17 years. I was born in St. Croix, the U.S. Virgin Island. And for some people, someone had asked me, am I a U.S. citizen? And I said, I did say I was born in St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Island. It is part of U.S. territory. So I stated already that I did spend 14 years in the reserve, Army Reserve, and I did tell you about my background. What I'm asking you for is your support so I can continue to fight for you in the state legislature. I stated what my platform is about affordable homeowner insurance, affordable housing, and to deal with a livable wage. The livable wage is important to me because when I did the calculation of what a livable wage is for Citrus County, it's at $22 per hour. And I don't know a lot of people, low-income people that have making $22 an hour. And to be able to afford a $1,200 per month rent because they probably don't own a home. So I want to focus a little bit on that as well, because it's going to take two households making $22 an hour to really to have a comfortable lifestyle here in Citrus County. I know a lot of people here might be on a fixed income or maybe above a fixed income, and they can afford to have their home and have a decent home and a decent income to survive. But a lot of the younger people that lives here in Citrus County do not and cannot afford to pay $1,200 a month and live in a nice place. We do have a homeless population situation here in Citrus County that we need to deal with. Someone mentioned that they was going to do a tent city thing, and I just don't understand how it's not going to work. Because one of the things about homeless population is you don't want it to congregate together in one particular location because nothing good going to come out of that. So what we need to do is to be able to deal with this homeless population that we have here in Citrus County. And I know that a lot of local people, agency that's actively involved in trying to solve this problem, because we don't want to have our citizen, your friends, your family on the street peddling for money or food to eat. This is not what Citrus County is all about. I know, like I said, some of you in this room might be above the income and you're comfortable with it, but we do have to look out for all residents of Citrus County. If the state legislators could be involved as far as providing funding to have affordable housing, to take these people off the street and have the agency involved to give them the mental health treatment that they need, the substance abuse treatment that they need, of course, I'll be in support of that. I know that a lot of times that homeless people, sometimes they do it by choice, but a lot of times it's not by choice. It's because they have a mental health issue or they have a substance abuse problem. They've had programs in the past that the state have given funding for a homeless population, and then these homeless agencies will contact landlord and ask them, could these people reside in these apartments? And then the state, out of their wisdom, turn around and tax the landlord. And of course, the landlord does not want to have to pay taxes, and they can rent to a normal person that, is not involved in this program that the state have. So we need to implement a better program that does not penalize landlords for housing the homeless population. So that's one area that I would be really interested in working with the people in Citrus County, because you don't want them on the street. We really don't. Also, I am going to be asking for your support in November 5th. I don't have a primary. We don't have a primary. Neither one of us have a primary anymore. So on November 5th, we're asking for your vote. I'm asking for your vote. I'm asking for your support that I can continue whatever issues that I'm talking to you about today, that I can go to Tallahassee and have a voice for you. Because I'm not speaking for myself, I will be speaking on behalf of the people of Citrus County. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Just going to reset the timer here. Okay, go ahead.
Great. Again, I want to I want to thank everybody for being here. It's political season, right? So coming out to these events is not always the funnest thing in the world to do, but you're showing your dedication to the process by being here. I talked to you a little bit about growing up here in Citrus County. My family started out in a little place called Hernando Heights in a single wide trailer. My dad worked at the sheriff's department. My mom worked 2 jobs, one cutting hair and the other one at a little store we used to have here called Cash and Carry. She put herself through real estate school. I watched her work really hard and be successful. And that was my example of working hard pays off. But the other thing that I saw my mom do is always giving back to the community. When you do well, you give back. And that's something that my wife, Jen, and I 100% believe in. So we're always going to be involved here in the community. and the things that we're involved in now and the things that we've been involved in the past. As far as the critical issues, we talked about those, the insurance crisis, which faces us all. We talked about affordable housing, which is something that we have to solve. My son-in-law, working at the sheriff's department as a sergeant, has deputies that can't afford to live here in this community. A lot of times it's not just because they can't afford it, there's no availability for them to find a place that they can afford. The other issue is the infrastructure. That's something that we need to support the county commission to tackle. That is a huge issue that's faced in our county. And I appreciate the fact that Steve Howard, our county administrator, and our county commissioners are stepping up to that challenge. The other thing that I want to make sure I always advocate on, my Christian beliefs, my conservative values. And when I say conservative, I am a fiscal conservative. As a trained economist, you can imagine I don't like wasting my money, and I don't think we should be wasting your money either. So that's my other promise in Tallahassee, is to not waste money. We're fortunate that our debt in the state of Florida is right about $16 billion right now, which is nothing compared to most other states. And we continue to pay that debt off. This last session, we paid another $500 million off, put another $10 billion in reserves to make sure we take care of ourselves come this hurricane season, which hopefully we can all avoid. The other thing is education. I'm a big proponent of the trades as well as the grades, and also college. Being a member of the foundation board at the University of Florida, I believe we have one of the greatest university systems throughout the country, and I'll continue to support that. The other thing that I'm a big proponent of is law and order. Growing up in that household, and having a son-in-law who needs to come home safe to my grandkids, you know, we need to make sure that we stand with the men and women who wear the badge. We need to provide them with the tools that they need to do their job and to keep our communities safe. That's a big thing. We talked about conservation. I'm not wavering on my support of conservation. I 100% support Wilton Simpson, who's endorsed me, to make sure that we're taking development out of parts of Florida that help us with our conservancy that we're trying to do, whether it's the flow of water or whether it's for wildlife corridors. I will continue to support that. My goal is to go to Tallahassee and represent you, not representing myself. My goal also is to bring a common sense approach. Is everyone ready for a common sense approach to things? And make sure that I'm communicating with the district. And that's my promise. I'll have a strong communication with the district. I put a lot of my business stuff on hold so I can do this job. So that's my commitment to you, is I'll be all in all the time. This isn't going to be a part-time gig for me. I can promise you people try to do it that way, and you can't serve the folks that you want to serve. So my goal is to use my business experience, my leadership experience, to make sure that I'm doing what needs to be done here for our district. And that's my commitment to you. I want you to send me to Tallahassee to be your next representative in the Florida House. And I promise I'll work my ass off every day to earn that respect from you. Thank you.
Thank you. Pete's gonna say a few closing remarks now.
Thank you, Brenda. Did Brenda do a good job or what?
Yep.
And I think I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize everybody that worked on this thing for weeks. Sue Wasserman, of course, she's out of town, but you met Joey, Brenda, Bill Miller, Mark Dupuy, Eric Altman, Don Woods, Mark Saveska, and the two guys that did the Sight and Sound, Keith Landers and Tom Russell. Well, Tom's over there by the door. So as we bring our state representative session to a close, we want to remind everybody that the county commission session is going to start at 5 o'clock. We did gain some time today as the questions were all sort of geared out towards 3 candidates, and we now know that we have 2. And of course, so many of your answers were pretty concise. You covered a lot of information inside the time allotted, which doesn't always happen because politicians don't always keep things concise. But to our residents, we want to thank you for the many questions you submitted. You probably heard some version of your question here today. You're all still free to reach out to the candidates to get any question answered between now and voting day. I heard they mentioned their websites earlier. To our candidates, we wish you well in your respective campaigns. As you continue, we look forward to a good relationship. Again, on behalf of the Pine Ridge Property Owners Association and on behalf of the Civic Association and Joey Valinati, we thank you for being here today. Thank you very much.